Degenerate Crow back at it again, this time close to midnight, trying to get some minis painted up because I cannot sleep, and I want to get some of these guys actually finished and done. This guy I've had for close to a month now, and I got him primed like last week, so kinda want to get this guy painted up and looking decent so I can use him on the table soon, because my players are going places, and I want to have these models ready to go before they fight them, and I have to use proxy models because I procrastinated. So, late night model painting. We'll see how it goes. I'm a little tired. Colors definitely are going to look different than I perceive them, but overall, kind of excited to see how things go. Hello, how's it going, man? Having a good day? I'd assume over there it's probably Easter already. I think I'm only a few minutes away before it strikes midnight and it turns technically to become Easter Day for me as well. Hello, how's it going, Peggy? Thanks. I've had this guy for about a month now. I got him primed like a week or so ago. Kind of just want to get him finished and painted up so that way I can use him. Because my players are getting close to our D&D campaign that I need to actually use him. And I haven't painted him yet, so I'm trying to get it. You want to buy it? This guy I bought off of Etsy. I'm streaming off my phone, so I can't really pull up a tab and show you guys, but I got it off of Etsy. Oh, I just bought this guy off of Etsy. I didn't make him. Thought he was cool. Liked the base he came on. Wanted to give him a shot. See how the Chimera goes. So far, it took multiple coats of primer to get him fully primed up, but so far he's painting all right. Thanks. The main thing I want to do right now is I want to mix up a little bit. No, I do not have kids. I am single right now. And thank you, Shake. Thank you. Alright. Well, now I'm going to do something, because I want to combine some Xandri dust with the main color I've been using, which was Wraithbone, to see if I can get a bit more of a fleshy tone on everything else on the face, but I want to keep the mane a bit more white, so that way the white sticks out a bit more. Hopefully Also makes it look like the mane is a bit more, stands out more is what I'm hoping for. But I'm 25. I know, I'm old. I'm old to not have any children, but I'm 25. Haven't really done much, except just live and get by. Granted, I didn't even want to live to that long up until recently, so kind of more of a miracle I'm still alive as is. That's supposed to be how that I'm 25 and no children. Trust me, I almost got married last year, so I've been trying. Just, life happens. Certain things I didn't expect happened, and I ended up not proposing to the person that I thought was the one. That's just kind of how it is. Yeah, okay. So Xandri Dust with Wraithbone was definitely the right call to get this guy. A little bit more color off the white. Okay. No, my room's kind of a mess right now. I'm mostly just focused on having everything on my desk, because my desk is messy as is, but I don't really feel the need to show people my room. My room is mostly going to be a depression mess as is, so not something I'm too inclined to show off right now. Okay, now throw in the fire. I don't know. I mean, I'll let my players set him on fire when they fight this guy eventually. But kind of like him. I mean, I've been procrastinating painting him because I've had more fun with getting these guys built up, because, you know, Warhammer's a little bit more exciting. But until I make a ring, I think I'll hold off on throwing my models in the fire, just for now. And do I make thing? Depends on the thing you are wondering about. Because I've done some blacksmithing, make the snake red. Actually, that's not a bad idea. I was thinking about balancing it out by making it green, because I figured having the white offset with the green would work, but I actually like the idea to make it red. No, my job is I work as a caregiver at a assisted living facility. So my job is I just help old people with going to the bathroom, giving them showers, and then cleaning their rooms. This is just a hobby of mine that I just like having fun with. Similar to all the other videos I make on my channel, it's mostly just hobby stuff, so I can engage more with my hobby without having to actually surprise all my friends with rants about different pieces of media, because, you know, not everybody wants to listen to me rant about how good or bad a piece of media is. But yeah, I am not a professional YouTuber, and I'm not a professional modeler. I just paint for fun. I just figured if I was gonna paint as much, might as well throw it out to the internet so that way people can critique and tell me if I'm doing anything good or bad or wrong. So yeah, I love doing this. It's just a fun little passion project and hobby thing that I do. I just like the meticulous detail that goes into painting everything. Thanks. I started painting this year. Turns out I like painting as long as it's on a tiny plastic model or tiny resin model, as most of my Etsy purchases are just resin printer stuff. But overall, I really enjoy this stuff. Just trying to carefully paint the face up. I live in the United States. From the United States, lived in Mexico for 2 years, then came back during the pandemic because I ended up losing my job. Well, that's fun. Okay. For the most part, I think the face is good. I'm just gonna a little bit more in there. Okay. Gonna get a little bit more on here. Thanks. What I'm hoping for is kind of a decent lion's coloring here. I mean, yeah, I've got a car. I need it to get around places. I mean, it would have been hard to move out of my parents' house without a car from in the area I live at. But yeah, I got a car. I've got a reliable SUV. Though I made sure that it was an SUV with space in the cabin because, goodness gracious, so many cars are so small for me that I can't even sit comfortably in them. And the last thing I want to do is get road rage while I look like Mr. Incredible. Okay. And since I like the idea from Shake, I'm going to try getting some red onto there. I only have one actual real color for red, so we're going to try that and see how it goes. If it turns out well, awesome. If not, then we'll see. I'm hoping the red works out, though, because I actually like the idea of the snake being red. It'll give more of a pop than my initial idea of just doing it green. Of course, that's if I make it look good enough to work. So, let me get some red on my palette and we'll start getting that snake. How do I do this? It's a very, very simple process on how I do everything, because I do not have the money to actually do everything. So I take paint, I throw it onto my wet palette. From there, I thin it out onto my brush and then I just paint it onto the mini. Yes. So let's see. Making the snake red, let's see how that turns out. If I buy a dragon, I will happily paint one up. The only thing I've got that's kind of close to a dragon is I've got a cockatrice, which is a chicken and a dragon mixed together that can petrify people when it attacks. I've had him for 3 months now and I still haven't finished painting him up because I keep on getting shiny new toys that keep distracting me. Also, dragons are incredibly expensive, which is the main reason why I don't have any dragon models right now. I'd like to get my hands on a dragon. Though, before I get a dragon, I want to get a Hydra, just because I like Hydras a lot more than dragons. Okay. I need to thin this paint down so I can still get the texture on this guy. Because it's coming out alright. Yeah. Do I have a mom? Yes, I do have a mother. I plan to go see them tomorrow for Easter. Well, I plan to see my family for Easter, but that's just where my mother will be. I think I'm gonna need to throw in some green though on the wings, just because the red pops a lot. I mean, I'm a little focused because I just want to make sure that this guy turns out well, but I also gotta focus on making sure that I get the colors right. And yeah, this is just fun. I just like painting, and sometimes people come into the chat like Shake did earlier and gave me a suggestion to paint this guy red, which I never thought. But I kind of like how it's turning out. Yeah. So I think I'm gonna grab some green. Hold on. Because then I had this green, but I think I'm gonna go back to a Lauren Forest, wherever I put that. Because I feel like this would be a decent green to offset the red to throw the green on the wings. So I'm gonna back this guy up a bit just so he's there. Now I need to clean off a brush so I can scoop some of this paint out of this pot. Like, the only one in my family? The only one of my friends? Or... Because I'm not the only person who paints on YouTube, but as far as people I personally know, I'm the only one that I know who's doing this right now. Most of my friends don't really paint. I just kind of got into it because I wanted to get some new models for Dungeons & Dragons, because I play D&D with my friends every Sunday when we don't have family stuff going on. And proxy models are okay, but green eyes might not be a bad idea. I'm going to first try to offset everything by giving a bit of a neutral green right onto the wings, because I think that might help tone down the intensity of the red while not taking too much focus away from it. But I think some glowing green eyes might actually be really good. So I'll have to get a different green for that to offset it. But just something kind of simple to just... in a way, this is a toy, yeah. It's just a miniature model you use for tabletop games, so yeah, it would basically be considered a toy for the most part. Just a very fragile toy, because if you slam this into something else, like an action figure, you're definitely going to break it. Oh, hey, nothing. How's it going? I'm doing alright, man. Just trying to get some models from my pile of shame painted up, because I've had this guy for a month now, and I haven't finished him. And I kind of need to. I also got this guy that I've had for 3 months now that I got a base coat on that I never finished. I've got this guy who I need to do more base coats of orange before I throw the bronze on to make his armor look shiny. I've got this guy along with the rest of the rabbits that I need to finish painting. This guy came in the mail 2 days ago, but this his little messenger butterfly snapped, and the only glue I have is not holding on together to keep them on, so I need to go buy some new super glue. Then this one arrived today. I was super excited because it's a mermaid, jellyfish mermaid, but I need to finish with... The main issue was I tried digging a hole into this model base so I could glue her down, but the glue wasn't holding, so I gotta do that and fix a few of her things. But yeah, got that, and I'm waiting for the primer to dry on all of my Warhammer models. So, thanks, Shake. And then, yeah, it's a lot of work ahead of me, but as a hobby, I'm okay with having a lot of work ahead of me. It means I just got more things to do. But like I said, this is all from my pile of shame to get them all actually finished. So, just doing what I can to get by. And also just trying to wear myself out, because I wasn't really tired after my shift at work today. And I kind of need to get myself tired out because I need to wake up, well, trying to get myself tired because I gotta wake up early tomorrow. My younger brother is giving a talk at church, but his church is a bit earlier than mine, so I gotta make sure I wake up early and get there on time so I can support him. Because it's not often that he gets up and gives a talk, and I want to be there to support the little guy. Do you have people live here? Like, my family lives in... Oh, gotcha. I live with my grandfather. I fell in some hard times a little while ago, and he let me move in with him. And so, I live with my grandfather right now, trying to get back on my feet and fix everything up so I can move out and live alone again, but it's gonna take a while. But I'm grateful to my grandfather for helping me out. Oh yeah, my brother absolutely loves going to church, and he loves talking and about the gospel and different details. So the fact that he was able and he was offered the opportunity to speak during an Easter service, I'm very excited. I like talking in church as well, but I'm a little bit older, so I don't get called on as much just because it's cuter when the kids do it. When I do it, I'm a bit more serious in tone. And not everybody's excited for people who are a bit more serious about things. Do I have a sister? No, I do not. I have brothers only. My mother wanted a girl as much as she could try, but tried as she might, she only got boys. Oh yeah. No, with my brother being excited about, like, he's 6 or 7 right now, and he's been reading a lot of the Bible, and I've been very excited because I wasn't raised a Christian, but my mother and I converted when I was a teenager to the church that we've been going to, and with my brother being raised in the covenant, he's been exposed to it much earlier, at an age much earlier than I was, and he's taken to it like a fish to water. So it's been great, and it's also been exciting to see. Oh yeah, no, my brother and I are 18 years apart. Like, he and I are, like, I'm in my mid-20s, he's very, very young. But I love him all the same, even though he hasn't been here all that long. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I did go to school, yeah, when I was younger. I did get bullied a decent amount, actually. I was undiagnosed with a couple of mental disorders. But I did my best to be normal and to fit in. Problem is, my brain didn't work correctly. And because I was honest about who I was, I got bullied by a couple of people. However, it was mostly just verbal shit, so it was inconvenient. It wasn't exactly nice, but I didn't really lose any sleep over it. It just meant that a few of my friends that I was friends with didn't end up being friends with me for a little while just because they wanted to save face and go with the crowd that they wanted to be with. Which, hey, that's just life. Well, yeah. I was a theater kid whose favorite sport was cross country. I played Pokemon all through high school. I exchanged Pokemon cards with my friends because I was a nerd. As a kid, I was just a nerd, and I had no shame in it. But because of that, it was weird because, you know, back in the mid to early 2010s, being a nerd wasn't exactly the most socially acceptable thing to be outward. That's just how it went. I do run from time to time. My cardio definitely went down because when I was just about to graduate high school, I dislocated my left elbow. And from there, I wasn't active as much anymore. I've been getting back into being fit, so I go for walks, I occasionally run, and then I go to the gym after every shift at work. But I'm definitely not in as tip-top shape as I used to be. Do I like football or soccer? Yeah, it's fine. I think it's fun I do play it from time to time with my church group. I'm not the best at it, but it's definitely fun. I enjoy it quite a bit. But I also lived in Mexico, which, living there, soccer is a religion in itself, so it was always something that we had to deal with. I want to tone down this green, because I like the idea of having the green wings, but I think I want to tone it down with some of the wraith bone to make that match better. I think the green's popping out too much, and there's too much contrast in that. What state of Mexico? Mostly I lived in Guanajuato, but then I spent a couple of months in Querétaro, and then I had like a month in Jalisco, and then the pandemic hit. And then I lost my work visa, so I was sent home. But mostly in Guanajuato, I lived in Salamanca, near Celaya, and Cortázar. But, yep, missionary work. But I spent some time in Cortázar, which was one of my favorite places. I lived in Irapuato, which was the strawberry capital of Mexico. Really nice spot. When the strawberry season hit, you couldn't escape it, but goodness gracious, those strawberries were some of the best I've ever had. And then I lived in Salamanca, which was, at the time, one of the most dangerous cities in the country. It was like top 10. So it was an interesting time to be there. but I loved it all the same. Querétaro was super safe. Tequisquiapan, I loved living there. It was really rich, so it was the cost of living was super high compared to what I was used to, but it was a good spot. Is that asking when I was born? I was born in January in the year 2000. Okay, I'm liking that a lot better. Mixing the Wraithbone with the green definitely tones that down a bit more. Missionary work in Chihuahua. Ooh, okay. Yeah. Missionary work was it was good for me. I struggled quite a bit because I came to the country not speaking Spanish all that well, but it forced me out of my comfort zone and it forced me to it gave me perspective on the world. And I got to kind of see and practice more of seeing how Christ sees his children and all those who come to him. Seeing how different people put their faith in Christ or what they put their faith in general. And having those discussions, it was eye-opening, but in a good way for me. I had a girlfriend from 2022 to 2024. Almost proposed to her, but we ended up going separate ways in life. Outside of that, that's just about it. Yeah. So, Killer, when you did missionary work, what kind of missionary work were you doing back then? For me, I was mostly just an English tutor, but then I also gave lessons about reading the Bible and understanding context from it. So I mostly just did like, hey, let's learn English for people. And then from there, I also spent a lot of time with going over like Bible passages and scriptures and trying to get people to read the Bible more. Because a personal pet peeve of mine was how a lot of people claim to believe in the Bible but have never read it, which it's a big book. It's difficult to get started and read all the way through, but it's definitely worth it. And if you claim to believe in something but you've never read it, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, it's like saying you believe that a textbook is perfectly accurate, but you've never actually read the contents of the textbook, so you can't say if you actually do believe in it or not. So that was always something I was working on whenever I could. However, there were times where the Jehovah's Witnesses were not the biggest fans of some of what I would talk about. There was a huge flood and we built little homes. We then would help the church with the homeless kids. Oh, okay. So disaster relief kind of missionary work. That's fun. I mean, it's a tragedy and it's sad that it had to be done, but that is a very rewarding type of missionary work. So I applaud you and the people that you went out with, because that's a very good type of missionary work that I definitely approve of. Because there are definitely times where I look at, gosh, I am a little critical of some missionary work just because although I was a missionary, I've also I was sent to a private Christian high school, and I've seen the difference between missionary work and what many would call voluntourism, where instead of actually helping people, they just kind of go there, do some things to feel good about themselves, and then leave, but they don't actually accomplish or help anybody. It's a very difficult topic. Oh, okay, gotcha. I think I want to mix a bit more darker green on the top side. Volunteer through the church? Ah, gotcha. When did I start this? This model I started about over a month ago when I started streaming me painting things. I started painting this year and I started doing the streams about, I want to say 2 months ago is when I first painting stream. I don't remember. Yeah. I can see why Nothing Killer. It's the living conditions in Mexico are very different compared to what we consider normal here. It can definitely be heartbreaking. There's a family I was talking with in Tequisquiapan that I got close with. That I enjoyed talking with them and I enjoyed being with them, but I felt bad because they were renting out a house that wasn't even finished. Like, it was just a brick structure, no windows. They had enough electricity to put in one light bulb to see, but they didn't. But they had to go out and collect sticks to burn on a live fire to actually make their own food. It was a very eye-opening experience to see that. Because most of the people in Mexico, like in the areas I lived at, sure, it wasn't rich, but they weren't in squalor like that. But seeing that in somebody else that I met, who, her house, she was building it brick by brick, and she only had like 3 walls and a roof. It was eye-opening. It definitely makes me appreciate living in the US more, but also makes me want to do more to help them. Yeah, Michelle, I make videos. I make videos and I upload them onto YouTube. I originally started making videos years and years ago. However, it's just a little difficult to consistently make videos just because I do a lot of long-form review content. And sometimes I just find a bunch of other series where I try to make a video and I just go, nah, I'm not feeling it. Yeah. It's kind of the weirdest thing because part of living in Mexico, it taught me a lot about life. But one thing that I definitely learned a lot about was just how to appreciate how good we have it in the US. Because, sure, there have been some moments I've been in not in good situations here in the US, but I've never been in bad situations like I could have been compared to some people I saw as they lived in Mexico. So I do try to stay in contact with people as much as I can from there. And there have been times where I've sent money to people who've asked just because they needed it. But it's definitely an eye-opener, and it's definitely something that it caused me to think a lot about how things work, and also my place in the world and what I want to do. All right. Gonna paint the spines a darker color. Darker shade of the green, hopefully to make it pop out more. My grandfather's got a pretty sizable home, but I don't own a home yet. Oh, for sure, Hiller, for sure. Nothing will ever sway me from believing that the human spirit is indomitable. But I will say, I find the memes hilarious when you talk about how music is, because a lot of people from Norway who live in some of the most beautiful scenery and houses in the world will make a death metal, but then in Mexico, who live in some of the worst conditions imaginable, they make songs and music about how beautiful life is and the glory of living with family. It's all about perspective. And with the right perspective, life is always a bit more bearable. Oh, for sure. I think it just comes down to, do you allow yourself to be content with life and your lot in life? I would say something that, for me, when I was in my most depressed and I wasn't enjoying life as much, it's just kind of because I wasn't accepting what my lot in life was. I wasn't accepting what I had, and not being able to accept what I had and just move on from there was kind of the detriment to everything. Oh, for sure. It's very easy to take things in stride and just take it for granted. That's why I was glad I did live in Mexico, because, as we've been talking about, it just taught me how to appreciate life, but it taught me how to appreciate other people and just what I have. What is the one that I make that I liked? Gosh, for videos on my YouTube channel that I made him like, I would say the one that I am the most proud of is, all my editing is super old because I hadn't fully finished making my character, but it would probably be my review of the Moriarty the Patriot anime. I put a lot of effort into that one, and I'm glad it's gotten more consistent views as time has gone on. But I also feel like a contrarian because I'm the only negative opinion on YouTube about that anime. Because I like the idea, I like the concept, I felt like it didn't follow through enough. I'm going to give up my selfish initiative throw. Absolutely. Thanks, Killer. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe for anybody who is interested and likes my content. I appreciate it, and it does help support me a lot. But if all else fails, the easiest way to support me is just leave a chat in the chat. Because I appreciate likes, I appreciate comments, I really appreciate subscriptions because I'm super small. But chats in the chat also just keep the momentum going. Because I do enjoy talking with people while I do all this. It's encouraging, because it makes me feel like I'm actually doing something somewhat right, despite not doing much. Well, the snakes in the background, thank you. These guys, I started painting a while ago. I need to finish. I was just going to move this guy over for a second, but yeah. I bought these guys off of Etsy, and I was really excited for them. Main thing I need to do is I need to finish the bases. I think I'm going to remove the inner color on the thigh and the legs. And I think I'm just going to go for a straight color there and just leave like the middle and the abdomen colored in like that. But I need to paint the bottle on that one, go over the chains once again. I want to get some blood on the axe, just to make that one more intimidating. This one, mostly just more base coating. But yeah, for all of them, I need to finish actually getting the bases done, because I didn't touch the bases at all the last time I worked on them. Yeah, I gotta get those guys figured out. Oh boy. Okay, cleaning off my brush a bit, just to make sure I've only got the dark green. At my church there isn't. What we're normally going to do is, We just do a 1 hour service and encourage everybody to go home and celebrate with their families. But also it's because my specific branch had a potluck last week, just in preparation, because what we normally do is we have what we call linger longers, so that we will do them occasionally, like once a month. I miss being on the activities committee when I was helping organizing and running those. But yeah, for normal stuff for this, we normally just encourage people to take some time, go home, celebrate with their families, just to focus on everything else. Also because we have 2 hour church, used to be 3 hours. And I kind of miss having 3 hour church. 2 hour church is fine, I get it. Have more time with the family to celebrate and ponder, but going down to 3 hours definitely changed a lot of the church culture in some different ways. It's definitely been interesting so far to see how the changes have turned out. But yeah. Though I am going with a friend because his family invited me over, and so a couple of us from the same friend group are going to celebrate with his family. And they always do a potluck, so I'm excited for that. They're really nice people, and I've always been excited because sometimes when my family's been a little busy, they've let me feel like one of their own and part of their family as well. I've always felt accepted, and I enjoy talking and being around them. They're good people. Yeah. Well, because growing up, my family was weird. When my mother and I converted to the church that we converted to when I was a teenager, a lot of my family took umbrage with that. And so, a decent amount of my family just kind of stopped talking to us. And so it's kind of difficult because growing up, I always wanted to have like a good, strong family. My biological father wasn't really in the picture due to personal issues and reasons that I don't really need to go into. And so after that, I liked being with my family, and I always took pride in being around them because I really wanted to have a good family. But since we converted to a different sect of Christianity that my family didn't approve of because of tradition, they kind of just stopped talking to my mother and I for the most part. And so it makes me feel nice when other families kind of accept me and just let me join them or invite me over for activities and stuff during the holidays. Just because I love my mother, but between my mother, my stepfather, and my brothers, it feels different than, having a full fleshed out family to celebrate with. So I do appreciate it when my friends open their doors to me, because it reminds me of the feeling of a family that I used to have before I made the choice for the better. Because again, I converted to a different religion. Yes, I'm aware that with my family it wasn't what they wanted, but I'm not gonna deny pursuing the truth. It's what my great-grandfather, who was a pastor, he would have wanted me to pursue the truth even if he didn't agree with it. But the rest of them did not. So I've always wanted to focus on family, and it's the one thing that I wanted to build myself up for, is no matter how my kids turn out or what happens, I want to make sure that I support them and that they know that no matter their choices, I am their father, and I won't let them be alone. I won't let them feel like they're not enough to be in my family. But that's just how I've changed over the years. Well, the truth will always be the truth. I may love the truth, but at the same time, it's the idea of I didn't want to stand at the last day in front of God and say, I thought I might have found the truth, but I didn't ask you to guide me to it. And I just never wanted to have that experience. I want to be able to stand at the last day and say, I did what I could. Well, they say maturity comes with experience, and I guess I have a decent amount of experience for a youngster. But that's just how things go sometimes. For sure. As Joshua said, choose ye this day whom you will serve. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. It is my goal and my desire to make sure that I choose what's right and to follow God above all else. There are definitely times where I'm going to falter because to err is to be human. But I want to make sure that I can say, I did my best to find thee in every way that was correct. If I was wrong, then I understand. But do not allow me to stand there before God and say, I put in no effort to find you, when you did put in the effort to find me. You know, that kind of stuff. But it definitely takes a while to get acclimated and to do the right thing. And it's not exactly easy when you lose your family, but such is life. The one thing that does keep me going is the fact that when I was at my lowest... Good to see you too, Tizon. I can tell you suffered and endured. I do find strength. Thank you. Well, Nothing Killer, the secret to my strength has been a blessing from God. See, growing up, part of my family's Native American, and I asked my father about, hey, since I've been a kid, I've seen visions of the future. What's that about? He told me that it was because, being tribal, we just have this innate ability. Deciding to try to look at it from a Christian perspective, I decided to pray to God about it. And I said, hey, you've given my forefathers visions of the future. I want a vision of the future of something I can hold on to for hope, to do what I must. And so I can be motivated to become better. And so I was shown a vision where I saw the 2 children I will eventually have. I know their names, I've seen their faces, and I know how I will find them. Because the first one will be biologically mine, the second one will be adopted. But back at the time when I saw that vision, I immediately drew both of their faces on paper. I don't show anybody those drawings, but I kept them for quite a while. And that's kind of been what's given me the strength to go on, is just that promise of God needs me to be there and to be better for them. Sure, I haven't held them yet, and I won't for quite a few many years. But there's security and serenity in knowing that I'm bettering myself to be a father for them, and to do better than what my father did for me, and to follow my stepfather's footsteps. So that's kind of the secret to how I've kept going, because for the longest time I wanted to die. I wanted to go straight to my maker. I did not want to continue living. But every time I tried, I failed, and God made it quite clear that I'm not coming back home just yet. I got some stuff I got to do here first. So I had to learn to appreciate life, something I couldn't really do beforehand. Yeah, I remember you mentioning that before, Killer. I remember you guys saying that. Which, even in context, definitely sounds weird, but that's just how it goes. Alright. need to outline the inside of the wings now. Okay, where's my fine brush? Because I need a thinner tip for what I need to do here. I mean, I am glad it is a great memory for you. Definitely. Oh, for sure. Coincidence and happenstance are a lack of faith and understanding of the divine. Everything is orchestrated to happen in the right way by the one outside of time who knows all. Even though, I'll admit, it's definitely hard to see and understand those miracles in the moment. But such is the great miracle. Oh, thanks. I try to do my best to remember things. I'm not always the best with memories, like, honestly, if it weren't for the fact that thankfully everybody's names show up whenever they comment, I would totally mix people up. But being able to see a name, essentially your channel or profile name, helps me remember a lot more about people than if I just met somebody in the street and said, "Hi, what's your name?" Oh, absolutely. I agree. Absolutely, Tizan. There's just moments in life that the more I've learned about God, the less I can attribute to anything but an orchestrated event. Even if it's not in a way I would understand or think, the Lord's hand is directing everything. Even if I don't fully see or understand, I don't have to see or understand to know that it's Him. Just like I don't have to see or understand how nuclear fission works to know that it is a reality. Oh yeah, definitely visual learner and hands-on. Anything, if I can't see and do it with my hands, I am not learning things at all. And thank you, Tizan. I've had this guy in my box of shame for a while now, but thankfully he's starting to come along decently. I was a little nervous about getting him painted up, but overall I think he's doing well. Yep, it all belongs to God. And I can only awe and stand in wonder of how it all works out. Oh, absolutely, Killer. The one thing, though, that I've been looking into is how do I escape pride? Because pride is one of the greatest sins imaginable. But at the same time, as humans, we talk about taking pride in things so often that it's almost impossible to differentiate. Like, how do I come across as being godly and saying I enjoy, like, my painting and my skills, but how do I avoid taking pride in the ability that the Lord has blessed me with? How do I avoid that? Because that's been a topic of discussion and study that I've been doing for a while now. Because that one, my stepfather has the answer, but he likes to teach me by asking me questions so I can figure it out. Was it really last week? Gosh dang. Stay humble and give God the glory. Yeah, that is definitely the main article of it. But then the question becomes, how do I avoid saying, like, I am proud of this, or I feel good about this? How do I make sure that I properly attribute it while also being clear with, like, how I feel? Because it's definitely something that's caused me to think more on my language, because I never really thought too much about it until my stepfather brought it up when we were discussing things a few months ago. So I've been trying to look a bit more deeply into it. So that I can change my vocabulary to appropriately attribute things to it. Ah, okay. Do you know which verse that is? Because I'd love to read and study that a bit more. Oh yeah, that was last week. Because that was these guys. Hold on. Because I got them finished up recently. Yeah, I got them finished up, and then I added this guy. I asked my buddy which chapter symbol to put on this time, and he told me to do the serpent. I kind of did it wrong, but since I streamed from my phone, I only had my phone, and I couldn't pull up a reference image on the side. But yeah, got them done, and I threw some varnish. The one thing that I liked, but need to change is... So what I did was, I did a bunch of dry brushing underneath for the black armor, and I did a bunch of dry brushing with, I believe it was Techless Blue, because I wanted to do some dry brushing highlights and then do a thin coat of black above it. What I want to do is I'm waiting on some speed paint that I purchased that's a thinner black, so that way the blue highlights show through more once I get the base coats done. I think it was Whose Leg is the Best Showcase. Because the problem is the black I used was a little too thick, so I need to... So I'm waiting for that to arrive. So what I plan to do with these guys is I'm going to dry brush and get the arms done. But I'm hoping to wait for the black to come back, because I ordered it earlier last week, but haven't yet gotten it. But I also bought it from the Army Painter, which is apparently based out in like Denmark, I think, so it's going to take a while for the shipping to get there. Thanks. I'm excited for the army to come together. I mostly wanted to do it just so I could get better at doing Warhammer stuff, because I haven't yet built my favorite faction yet. And once I get a little bit more excited and confident in my skills, I plan to then build my favorite army, but that's going to take a while. Because my favorite army is the Iron Warriors, the 4th Legion of the Astartes. However, those guys, to get the army right for what I want to do, is going to require a lot of kit bashing, and I want to get better with kit bashing and just painting in general before I go full send on those guys. So I figured I'd practice with an easier color scheme and went with the Loyalist chapter. Because if I can learn to paint black armor, I can figure out anything else from there. Do you need a pacifier, Iron Baby? No. No, I don't. Yeah, the Iron Warriors are my favorite, just both in terms of tactics and how Imperturabo's lore. I love them to death. They're not the best Legion, but they're my favorite in just being salty bitches. And that I appreciate a lot. However, I'm part of the small group of people who I like the Iron Warriors the best, but I respect the Imperial Fist just because. Two sides of the same coin. And the Imperial Fist know what they're doing. Okay. I need to re-go over and outline the wings again so that way only the bones and the spines are the darker green. But besides that, I think we're close to being done with the wings so I can get back to working on that snake. And also getting the mane done as well. Proverbs 11:12. When pride comes, then comes disgrace. Both humility comes wisdom. Okay. Ecclesiastes has some scripture about taking pleasure. Perfect. I will study both of those more. Thank you, guys. Because I've been focusing on some other studies, but I hadn't really found any good scriptures for that. So thank you, sincerely, because I am going to study those either today or tomorrow. Depends on how tired I can make myself at the end of this stream. Because I need to go to sleep, but I can't when I have my mind is too busy. Okay. That definitely makes sense given the scriptures that you guys have told me about so far. So I like that. I feel like I'm on track. And again, thank you guys for giving me those scriptures to look into. Because that's definitely something I want to study a bit more so I can have a bit more confidence in doing the right thing. Because I want to make sure I attribute everything to him, but I also want to make sure I do it in a Christ-like manner that is appropriate. So, again, sincerely, thank you guys for giving me those references to look into. Because for the other people I've spoken to about this topic, they really haven't had much to say yet. And so, I am sincerely grateful that you guys were able to quickly find some scriptures and send them my way so I can learn about it and study it a bit more. Hence why I'm glad I'm able to talk openly about being a Christian on stream. I mean, sure, I'm small, but thankfully, you guys were here, and as orchestrated by him, you guys were able to give me some answers to some questions I was seeking, and to give me some tips and guides on how to study more efficiently. So again, I am very thankful for some spiritual envoys. No, fair. Like I said, it's a relatively new topic for me that I want to study more on, so I'll learn about it bit by bit. But I'm definitely playing catch up with a lot of Christianity just because I converted when I was a late teenager, early adult, rather than starting as a kid. So I'll figure it out eventually. But I'm definitely playing catch up to those who were born with the knowledge, or born into the covenant, I would say. Okay. Oh, that is true, isn't it? Yeah, I can see that. Oh, that's definitely some more food for thought I'm gonna have to think about. Alright. I think I want to lighten the red. I think the red's a little too vibrant. That is true. That is true. Okay. I need to dry this off before I mix everything. But yeah, besides that though, do you guys have any plans for Easter? Because it's technically Easter Sunday. Happy Easter, everyone. But does everybody got plans to do anything today? Anything special? Anything exciting? Yes. So far, my plans are just spend time with family, church, and a friend's family. But what about you guys? You guys got anything going on? No plans? Oh, fair enough. Happy Easter. Let's try bringing down his intensity just a smidge. Ah, fair. No free time. Gosh dang, man. I can imagine, because self-employed stuff is never easy to manage. But it's always worth it whenever you're able to get your feet off the ground and make it work. Man, I am the young one today, aren't I? Holy shit, man. Forgive my French, but wow, I'm sorry. That's definitely gonna be... That has to be hard, man. Sorry to hear that's what happened, though. I mean, in the right circumstances, I would agree. I was going to say, yeah, sometimes it can start because of them. Because isn't it in Proverbs that also says, it is better for a man to dwell within the mountains than to live with a contentious and angry woman? You gotta choose carefully and correctly for it. Ah, I see. That makes sense, Killer. That makes sense. Oh gosh, yeah, that is not easy to work with. I think I'm gonna grab some black and get the horns and the nails done. If she's not crazy, she's not fun to be around, let's be real. No, that's also very fair, Tizon. That's also very fair. There's definitely some boundaries. Hey, Francois. How's it going? Welcome to the chat. We've been having some deep conversations here. For me, it's at 1 in the morning. I mean, it depends. With my ex, I liked talking with her because she was obsessive, because I liked talking to her about the nerd stuff that we shared. Like for D&D, she and I would talk for hours about like when I DM'd on a campaign, how I would mess with, because she knew my friends and who I was playing with. And so it was fun to talk with her about like, here's what I did. She would give me suggestions on how to mess with them, how to set up a story. And I agree, Teaslin, I agree. And so with my ex, it was very much, there were some good times, but it was also fun just to cuddle up on the couch and watch movies and show her things she hadn't seen yet. Granted, I'm also a little mean, because whenever I have the chance to tell people to watch something, my favorite go-to series is to make them cry by making them watch Violet Evergarden, which is my favorite anime of all time. But if you're not prepared or don't know the story, you're gonna cry. And even though I know the story, I still cry whenever I watch it. But I always enjoy the reaction of, I hate you so much for showing me this beautiful thing. No, that's true. I will say this. In my time, from my time as a missionary and time for helping and being with other people, God commands us to forgive. He does not say when to forgive. There's a grace period for us to be able to learn and to do better. But at the same time, he also is aware that it'll take time for us to learn to overcome certain things. There are definitely things that I've had to forgive people for doing to me, but it took longer than 5 seconds. And I think that's the grace period that we all need occasionally is forgiveness is fine, but you also need to be able to take the time to process it, to allow that forgiveness to be real. Because anybody can say, I forgive you without putting in the effort. But to say, I forgive you and mean it, it's a very difficult thing to process and handle. And it's hard to work with. It is something we all must learn to do. But forgiveness is never easy, and that's why we are commanded to offer it, rather than vengeance or wrath. Well, yes, forgiveness is for our neighbors, but it is also given to us that God is the judge, and is given to us to forgive all. Now, forgiveness does not mean freedom of consequences. I can forgive somebody for doing something stupid. That doesn't mean that they cannot or that I will not impose consequences. If you break my trust, I'm never going to trust you again. But I will forgive you for doing that action. But that doesn't mean I'm going to trust you the same degree that I trusted you beforehand. And I think that's kind of the thing, is people mix up forgiveness with trust. And that's very true. Stone bomb nations at the city gates, not present to the neighbor. Yes, however, it is very difficult in this day and age to work on that. And that is true. Okay. Put him down for a second. Let's get some blackout so we can get the horns and the nails and the hooves colored in right. Actually, maybe instead of black, we'll go with some of that Xandri dust and see how that goes individually. .48 in July. Wow. Yeah, you are a seasoned veteran, ain't ya? Gosh dang, I'm feeling younger with everybody in the chat now. Alright, let's... Well, I started it, might as well finish through and see how that looks.